All right, good morning, good morning, good morning. I am the Pip Messiah, your host for the Quiet Storm live trading session for July the 25th, 2025. As always, we're going to have a brief introduction to what it is that we do and how we do it. And then we're going to slide into a 15-minute pacing of possible opportunities to enter the market on a buy or sell basis. We do have a little bit of pre-market action. I did check our list. We don't have any take profits that hit between the last time that I checked before I went to bed around 10-ish last night until now. So we should be fine. What we're currently looking at is a chart on the 15-minute time frame on dusk versus tether. This is a crypto perpetual trade. A buy signal was called at 4:45 in the morning yesterday. The colored lines that you see on the chart are exponential moving averages. An exponential moving average is a graphical representation of the average of the last number of candles. The yellow line is the 5 exponential moving average. The red line is the 13 exponential moving average. On any time frame, on any asset, if the red line is over the yellow line, that means the sellers have control of the asset. Conversely, if the yellow line is over the red line, that means the buyers have control of the asset. In addition to this, you have 3 other lines. The aqua line, the 50 exponential moving average, the gray line, the 200 exponential moving average, and the blue line, the 800 exponential moving average. If these lines appear in this order, blue on the top, gray in the middle, and aqua on the bottom, BGA, you're in a downtrend. If they appear in this order, aqua on the top, gray in the middle, and blue on the bottom, you're in an uptrend. Any other combination of these colors means you're in consolidation. So very quick analysis of what we have here. At the time the trade was called, buyers were in control of the market, but the pair was in consolidation, gray, aqua, blue. So this is a trade that we would not have entered. And what happened? Price basically moved sideways and then eventually hit stop loss. So with that, let's get into tonight. We have DIA versus Tether. This was called out at 4:30 in the morning yesterday and hit take profit around 5:30 p.m. yesterday. Congratulations for those of you that took that trade along with me. We have CRV versus Tether. This trade was called out at 11:15 yesterday. I was asleep at that point, and since that has gone, the trade has gone into profit. So at the time the trade was called, you have yellow over red, so buyers had control of the market. You have aqua, gray, blue, which is an uptrend, and what happened? Price took off. We looked at dusk already. All right, we have ENS versus Tether. We have gray, aqua, blue. So this is not a trade we would have entered. That's consolidation. You look to the left and what do you see? Prices basically move sideways. This is not a trade that we would enter. We have Ethereum versus the United States dollar. We have gray, aqua, blue. You look to the left, you have price moving sideways. This is not a trade that we would enter. We have Ethereum versus Tether. We have gray, aqua, blue. Again, consolidation. We look to the left and we see the price is basically moving sideways. This is not a trade that we would enter. And we have the United States dollar versus the South African rand. And this is an instance where price has hit stop loss. So we go back to the original trade. Just called out at 4:45 on Tuesday. At the time the trade was called, you have blue, gray, aqua, which is a downtrend, and you had red over yellow. So this is a rare case where everything kind of lined up, and it still did not hit take profit. So as always with any system, it's not 100%. No system is 100%. If it were, we would have a very different conversation every morning. And we are caught up. The next time that we're going to have opportunities to enter the market will be at 2:15. And at that point, TradingView will go through this entire list of trades and give us opportunities to enter the market. To give you an idea of what it is that we have done so far, we've been calling signals this year since May the 2nd. For those of you who've been following me extensively, I was sick before then, so I've only been calling trades since May the 2nd this particular year, whereas I'm active all year, every day, normally. So from May the 2nd until now, our record is 656 wins versus 570 losses, for a win rate percentage of 53.51%. And the number of pips won, 1,958,145 and counting. In terms of what we do call, we use a color-coded system. For major and minor Forex currency pairs, these are green. For exotic currency pairs, these are yellow. For spot cryptocurrency, this is cryptocurrency protocols versus the US dollar, we use blue. For indices like the US 30, the Nasdaq 100, the S&P 500, the UK 100, and the Japanese Nikkei 225. For precious metals, gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. For US oil and UK oil, and for natural gas, we use red. For perpetual cryptocurrencies, these are cryptocurrency protocols versus Tether. And stocks, we use purple. And for futures, we use orange. The crypto perpetual trades are called off of our primary broker, which is Liquid Brokers. And then everything else, and with the exception of crypto perpetuals, are called from LHFX. You'll be able to find these brokers and the links to them in the description to this particular video. For futures, we use Top Step X. Let's go ahead and dive into the news for the night. See if we have any surprises here. No major news. Looks like we did have a news item drop on retail sales month over month for the Great British Pound Sterling about an hour ago. It did miss forecast, so there might be some negative effect on Great British Pound pairs, but not much. We do have a little bit of news dropping on the euro in about an hour from now. I don't think that's going to be enough to really move the market. And then at 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, which is the opening bell of the New York Stock Exchange, we have a double dump of news on the US dollar on durable goods. An hour later, we have information from the Belgian business climate. I don't think any of this stuff is going to be enough to really move the market, so we could probably expect things to fall into consolidation at the opening bell of the New York Stock Exchange. Well, price pretty much for the rest of the day won't move much. So with that being said, I do think we're probably going to experience a little bit of limited action tonight in terms of signal calling. We'll see what we end up getting. I do believe on Wednesday we had one signal. Last night we didn't have any signals at all. And all the signals that we did get were after the session was already over. And that happened on Wednesday and Thursday. Monday and Tuesday were very quick sessions. One thing to watch out for, let's take a look at futures. And we have positive openings for the US 30, the S&P 500, and the NASDAQ 100. What we're looking for here is possible retracement to the sell-off side on all three of these indices for possible opportunities to buy up. We have break even on the France 40, so we're not going to get much action out of that. We have positive action on the German 30 and the UK 100. And we have negative action on the Japanese Nikkei 225. We may have an opportunity to enter the market here if we get an EMA cross. On the cryptocurrency side, we appear to have a continued dump off of Bitcoin. We will speak about that during the session because we were tracking that all week. I did tell you guys it was going to break to the south, and it did. I believe it's heading to about $113,000 today, a drop of about 4,500 points. It appears that the only thing that's actually counter to the onslaught today will be Ethereum and Binance Coin. So the associated coins, those economies, should be doing fairly decent, at least going into the New York Stock Exchange, before I believe we're going to get the rest of the dump off of Bitcoin, and almost the entire market is going to be negative for the day. All right, it does look like we got a ding on Australian dollar. Sorry, the Australian 200, which is the indices. We have a pop on the 15-minute and the 30-minute. Let's take a look at the 15-minute first. And we have a hit stop loss. So we're actually going to re-enter this particular trade to 88.23. All right, so from current price, take profit targeting 8823. It's going to be on a 15-minute confirmation. As a matter of fact, no, we won't. We're going to let that one pass. We'll take the hit on that one. Let's stay consistent here. So that did hit stop loss on us. Just fine with that. And we have the same thing on the 30-minute. What's likely to happen is them to test the 800, which is the edge of the market, give us EMA cross, and then give us a fresh signal on the buy up. The question is that going to happen during the session or not? I honestly don't know. Depends on how juicy the bottom of this range is going to be. Let's go up in time frame and see if we can see what's going on here. We have fallen below the 50 EMA, which means the price might decline all the way to the 200, which is 85.77. That is quite a drop. So it makes no sense to enter the trade in no man's land. I don't think it has a chance to get to the 800, which is way down at 83.77, 83.37. Still a possibility. I just don't see it. Let's go to the daily. And yeah, this is retracing back to the 50 EMA. Possible entry at 84.77. Let's mark that off. Got a few more Forex pairs. We also have possible entry if it breaks the 50 EMA at 82.27. And worst case scenario, only because we have uncovered price action all the way down here, is an entry at 76.66. I don't think that's going to happen today because the Australian 200 doesn't move that fast. We'll mark off these areas anyway as test. But our first area that we're going to look at is around 84.77. Let's go ahead and get this removed from our list. This is an Indices. And the Australian 200 is gone. All right, we have the euro versus the Japanese yen. Give it time to show us what it has. It looks like the trade invalidated itself. It's not showing up. We refresh. Just to make sure I'm not going crazy here. Yeah, Euro Japanese yen invalidated itself, so that is no longer a valid trade. Let's go to the Swiss franc versus the Japanese yen. All right, we have aqua gray blue, an uptrend, and we have a buy. We're going to be entering this to 185.856. That's going to be a long position from current price. 185.856. Give ourselves some additional room on the stop. Let's grab the parameters and get this called out. Again, this is going to be the Swiss franc versus the Japanese yen, a 15-minute confirmation buy. With a risk looks like we've got some action on the United States dollar to the Israeli shekel as well. We'll take a look at that shortly. All right, there's going to be a green signal, so let me grab that. CHF-JPY, risk to reward ratio of 3.54. Take profit 185.856. That's going to be for 85 pips. Stop loss 184.763. And that's going to be for 24 pips. And entry price at 185.004. And here's your first signal of the night. The Swiss franc versus the Japanese yen. 15-minute confirmation, a market execution buy. Entry price is 185.004. Stop loss is 184.763 for 24 pips. Take profit is 185.856 for 85 pips, and a risk to reward ratio of 3.54. You will find this pair on both Liquid Brokers and LHFX. All right. You have a 15-minute confirmation on United States dollar versus Israeli shekel. We called this last night. Everything did line up. We had yellow over red and aqua gray blue. Actually, no. We have blue, gray aqua. We had the downtrend and we had red over yellow. And it still hit take profit. Hit stop loss on it. So this is going to be a trade that is a miss. That is a hit stop loss for us. Go ahead and get that called out. It's 346 pips. So it's unfortunate. We called out on a 15-minute confirmation. We did not call the 30-minute confirmation. I'm assuming when we take a look at hit here, we're going to have a hit stop loss on both of these time frames. We'll find out here shortly. It's going to be a hit stop loss for us. We will not be re-entering this particular position because things are just not aligned for us. Let's get rid of this. And then on the 30-minute, we've got the same thing. At the time the trade was called, we have blue, gray, aqua, and it just reversed on us. So United States dollar to Israeli shekel is a dud. Go ahead and get rid of that and get Swiss franc versus Japanese yen in the right place. All right, with that, we're caught up. 2:22 in the morning. We've got a little under 8 minutes left to go to 2:30. The half of the hour where we'll get more opportunities to possibly enter the market on a buy or sell basis. Did mention we're going to check in on Bitcoin going into the evenings. Let's take a look at that. It's now 2,800 points down and counting. Confirmed downtrend on the 1 minute. Confirmed downtrend on the 5 minute. Confirmed downtrend on the 15 minute. Still working its way down on the 30 minute. So this is where we'll keep looking at it. The original market that we marked off on Monday is now at 117.904. So let's go ahead and refresh these because this is, of course, wrong now. So based off the 4 hour, this is now going to be 117.932.15. This is now going to decline to 113.499.42. And then we've got the 800 EMA, which is way, way, way down here. 103.290.2. Let's go to the daily and see what it looks like. All right, so about a 50% mark of this long candle here is what we're aiming towards. Let's drop in our fair value gaps and see what's going on here. So we did dip into the fair value gap that is supporting the price of Bitcoin on the daily. We got this marked off on the 4 hour, which is right at the half point mark of the fair value gap, which was just marked off. It looks like we have several fair value gaps to break through before we end up getting to our worst case scenario mark off. And then kind of dating back to last month when we marked off levels at 97,000, at 93,500, and worst case scenario, at least what I saw, was at 75,000. It would take quite an extraordinary amount of confluence of events to get way down here, but it is possible because there is uncovered price action. So that's where we currently stand right now. At least on the 4-hour, we have resistance above price. This is after the all-time high. Price is trapped between these two levels here. So if we break below 115, 183, which it has done today. Low today is 114, 942.87. Looks like we have a pretty good chance to break this particular area and then hit our second line, which is going to be 113,499. So just below 114,000. As Bitcoin continues to lose steam. So what we'd be looking for is a test of the 200 EMA and for price action to break below the 200 EMA. If it does, it is heading straight to 103 and we'll enter free fall at that point. There's nothing really to stop it from declining. Check the technicals. Bitcoin has gone from being a strong buy over the last few weeks to being neutral. And it is a strong sell right now. So, targeting 103 as a worst case scenario. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how this folds itself out. We are going to keep watching it though. We have a lot of trades that are kind of depending on Bitcoin leading the market and dragging down these altcoins. So back to the 13 minutes just to kind of keep track of this. 227, we've got about a little under 2 minutes left to go until the half of the hour. And for those of you that are suffering from a little bit of FOMO and hoping to buy Bitcoin at this point, do understand there is a metric ton of resistance to price going up at this point. So be very careful with that. It's much more likely to decline in price at this point. If you do have any questions, go ahead and drop those in the chat. I'll get those addressed as we go throughout the broadcast for tonight. 1 minute and 15 seconds left to go to 2:30. I'm going to grab a jacket and a blanket because I'm a little cold. And we'll keep it going. Whew. All right, we've now hit 2:30. It's going to take TradingView about 2 minutes to go through all the assets and the time frames we do have. We do call trades on the 15-minute, the 30-minute, the 1 hour, the 4 hour, and the daily. And here's our entire list of 328 assets. So there's the take profits, the stop losses on the Australian 200, the United States dollar versus Israeli shekels. Slightly down for the night. Not bad. Just about 2 minutes in. Does not appear like we're going to get any signals for the 2:30 time mark, which means our next opportunity to enter the market will be at 2:45 a.m. Central Standard Time. It's going to be a little under 13 minutes from now. Till then, we wait. So this is a perfect opportunity to kind of stretch your legs, grab something to drink, grab a snack, use the restroom, do what you need to do. Come back and join us for 2:45 a.m. as we continue. Those of you that were paying attention to the 30-minute on Bitcoin versus Tether, we did have a very slight moment where a fair value cap had formed as support for current price. Bitcoin has now invalidated that and it has entered free fall yet again. So we can expect a nice red candle to form over the next 30 minutes or so. At this point, it's not a matter of if Bitcoin will decline, but when and how fast. One thing that will be interesting to see during the live tonight is whether or not we get a break of the low for the day, which is currently $114,942.87. And I do believe that's going to happen. And the way I'm seeing price action move now, it might happen in this 30-minute candle. See if we had any news of note. Ouch. That's what it is. Galaxy Digital offloaded $1.5 billion in Bitcoin. We also had a Bitcoin whale on Tuesday offload the largest one-off sale of Bitcoin in history, with 80,000 Bitcoin being sold. The previous record was 3,700 Bitcoin. So we have more continued outflows of cash from Bitcoin. So Galaxy Digital moved 17,123 Bitcoin. It's kind of interesting to see everyone else still trying to be bullish on it. Look at all these people still trying to say that Bitcoin is going to buy up. It's not. This is hilarious. It's the first person I've seen so far think that this is a correction, and it is. Here's another one, but they're only calling it as a potential. All right. Now down 3,000 points and counting. Again, we're looking for it to target just below 114,000. And there's no fair value gaps below this to stop it from getting there. So you're looking at Bitcoin possibly losing over 4,500 points today. Always weird to look at this and realize at one point in the last year, this has gone from 49,000 all the way up to 123,218. That's crazy work. A little less than 6 minutes to go to the quarter of the hour. 2:45 a.m. Central Standard Time. Let's take a look at the other majors to see what's going on here. We'll start with Ethereum. Unlike Bitcoin, it does have support below current price. Very weak support, but it hasn't entered free fall. So Ethereum is definitely consolidated. Let's go to Ripple. Price is just below the 800 on the 30-minute. This may enter a little bit of free fall. Let's go up in time frame and see if we can see any support here. And the answer is very weak support below current price. This is likely to fall all the way down to $2.70 odd cents. So when Bitcoin does make the rest of its drop, it's probably taking Ripple along with it. Let's go with Solana. Again, free fall. We've already marked off 159.40. It's heading straight there. And we got an almost confirmed downtrend on this time frame. A little bit of a meaty fair value gap here, but nothing really to stop it to get into the area that we marked off already. Look to the left, it's been there 3 or 4 times before. That's really where the few value of Solana actually is. Let's take a look at Cardano, the last of the big 5. Again, we marked off the 0.6866. Very weak areas of support. And it has been below this one already. I think it's a pretty good chance as Bitcoin continues to get slaughtered, and it is going to get slaughtered, we're going to get down to that 0.6866. I think about in these areas, we're going to get a rebound on Bitcoin. Ethereum, Ripple, Cardano, and Solana for buy opportunities amongst the associated altcoins in these ecosystems on the buy side. Two minutes left to go to 245. Let's see what we end up getting. We are down another 163 points since the last time we looked at Bitcoin. That red candle is still cooking. And even after 245, there's still another 15 minutes in this 30-minute time frame. We should pretty easily hit at least 3,500 points down before 4 a.m. The real interesting thing that's going to happen is what happens when American money hits the market. At 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, the opening bell of the New York Stock Exchange, when we have more reaction to the sell of Bitcoin overnight. This is going to be bad. At least for anyone that was stupid enough to be long at this point. So a very definitive warning, do not attempt to try to buy Bitcoin right now. Wait it out. Any buys at this point should be short term and a very small number of pips, but I would not advise it. You're looking for retest of price above price to fair value gaps and a sell-off. Don't over leverage. Don't try and get a mountain of pips. Just take the small moves. That's all it's going to give you. It's now 2:45. Again, it's going to take about 2 minutes for TradingView to get through all these different assets and all these different time frames. and give us opportunities to enter the market. Let's see what we end up getting. We do know that there is movement on the Japanese yen. Let's take a look at that. So we're about to break a fair value gap on the Japanese yen. It does have quite a meaty amount of support. First, the 200 EMA, and then the small fair value gap before we get into the real test of things. It would take a real mean reversal to break through this entire fair value gap. I don't think that's likely to happen. So if we level off at about 67.78, follow to consolidation before it starts eating away partially at this fair value gap, but I don't think he gets to the whole thing. Let's take a look at the DXY. That's the US dollar index. Looks like we do have a short-term rally on the US dollar, but we do have resistance at around 97.579. So it's hovering between these two areas of fair value gap. We did smash through the first markup that we had. This was last week at 97.183. But then it reestablished the fair value gap above that price. But this is a downtrend on this dollar. I think we might get one more retest of the fair value gap and possibly the 200 exponential moving average before a continued sell-off. That means it's going to affect the US dollar versus Tether. And remember, if the United States dollar is weak, that means that Tether is strong. And if Tether is strong, that means that we have a sell-off of crypto perpetuals, which validates the analysis that we had on the cryptocurrencies that were major, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, Cardano, and Solana, that Bitcoin, that at least in the short term, Tether will increase in price, possibly spiking above this level that it's been at several times before, at 0.9998, maybe even breaking $1, and triggering a very rapid sell-off of cryptocurrency. It hasn't done that in a while. The last time it did so was way back on July 21st. And if you were trading that day, certainly we had a massive sell-off, double-digit losses across the crypto market for that day. So, something to look at, US dollar versus Tether. Take a look at it on 30-minute. We're going to be targeting the area of $1 or more. If it gets to that point, we're going to have a pretty rocking day on sell-offs. That being said, it's now more than 2 minutes past the quarter of the hour. Do not have opportunities at 2:45. Our next opportunity to enter the market will be at 3 a.m. Central Standard Time. That is the top of the hour. All right. So we have GC1 and MGC1. These are futures calls. I don't think we answered either one of these. No, we did not. because it was gray, aqua blue at the time of entry, and now that it's hit stop loss. That's the 30-minute. And NGC, the same thing, gray, aqua blue, consolidation at the time of entry, so we did not enter, and it hit stop loss. And that candle's gotten a little meatier on us. Now down 31.72 and change as Bitcoin continues to sell off. Again, there is no fair value gap below this, so Bitcoin is basically in free fall right now. This is Bitcoin versus Tether on the 30-minute time frame. We have not yet entered a period of confirmed downtrend. Technically, we're still in consolidation, but there is definitely momentum to a sell-off. What that means from a technical perspective is you're probably going to see a strong sell on exponential moving averages. You're probably going to see a sell on your oscillators. And you may see neutral, if not a sell on your technicals on every lower time frame below the 4 hour. And just like that, we're down almost 3,400 points and climbing. Remember, we just literally said we may get 3,500 points down in this 30-minute candle. We just did it. Got down to 3,564 points down. So this sell-off is real. And note, this is without American money in the market right now. The New York Stock Exchange is closed. Just imagine how much worse is it going to get when the American markets open and can react to the movement of over 17,000 Bitcoin overnight. So even though we had 3 successive days of inflows to Bitcoin ETFs, you have whales moving that kind of Bitcoin, an 80,000 Bitcoin sell, and a 17,123 Bitcoin sell within the course of 48 hours. That's going to shake things up. The market does not like uncertainty. But now 3,600 points down and climbing. All right, another 4 minutes left to go to the top of the hour. Two minutes left to go to the top of the hour. It looks like we did break the low of the day, so we do have a new low. At 114,723.16. One minute left to go to the top of the hour. We had about a 600-point retracement of Bitcoin within the last few minutes. Let's see if that holds. We get a nice fair value down. Still don't see any support yet. Right, we got a buy opportunity on Australian dollar and Japanese yen. Let's take a look at that. We're already in this particular trade, so we're not going to call it again. But you do have a buy opportunity on Australian dollar to 97.339. Oops. Wrong one. Buy a DJPY to take profit. That's it. So that would be my advice there. I'm not going to formally call another entry, but you do have an opportunity, if you want to take it, to take a buy on Australian dollar or Japanese yen to 97.339. That's going to take profit. We're 2 minutes in, which means that we will probably not see more opportunities to enter the market, except futures, until 3:15 in the morning. That is a little over 12 minutes from now. Let's get back to Bitcoin, where we have continued retracement of price. Again, confirmation of this kind of consolidation period right now. We'll see if we get that continued push to the sell-off. Price is above the 13 and the 5. But unless we're going to get a breakout, I don't think we're going to retrace upwards too far. And 115,505. So 114,262, which is about 500 points below the low for the day. Well, entering about 10 minutes left to go to the quarter of the hour. 3:15 a.m. Central Standard Time. Approaching 8 minutes left to go to the quarter of the hour. And we have the formation of a small fair value gap above current price. If that holds, well, it didn't. Darn it. I was going to give us something to retest off of to get a further decline to the south. At any rate, we've got 4 minutes left to go to the quarter of the hour. We'll see if we get more opportunities. Looks like Japanese yen is being kind to us tonight. I also got a signal on euro to Japanese yen. I wonder if that reformed. And it did not. But needless to say, Japanese yen pairs are kicking butt right now. Right. Almost there, about 20 seconds left to go. And 3:15 in the morning. Again, it's going to take about 2 minutes to go through all these pairs on the 15-minute, the 30-minute, the 1 hour, the 4 hour, and the daily. To spit out possible opportunities into the market on a buy or sell basis. We're about 3 minutes in. This signals for 3:15. Next time to enter the market will be about 3:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, the half of the hour. Going back and referring to news, very low amount of medium to light news items throughout the day, with the exception of other seminal events, like this recent sale of 17,123 Bitcoin about 3 hours ago. It's not going to be much that's going to move the market. We do have action on Japanese yen, mostly on negative futures on the Japanese Nikkei 225, pointing to weakness in the Japanese yen, which is the reason why we've been able to call out buys on the Swiss franc to the Japanese yen, and just for the live, Australian dollar to Japanese yen. We had a third opportunity on euro to Japanese yen that invalidated itself. And looks like we have a possible hit stop loss and opportunity on gold versus the US dollar. Let's take a look. That is exactly what happened. Gray, aqua blue, consolidation at the time of the signal, and it sold off. I think we did see negative futures on gold when we took a look at it. Let's see if that still holds. And yes, we have negative futures on gold. It appears to have a mixed market at this point. Looks like several altcoins are rallying into buy territory as Bitcoin starts to recover price. But it does have a crap ton of free value gap resistance above current price. Let's see if that holds. All right. Looks like we may have a stop loss hit on Norwegian krone versus Swedish krone. No, we have a take profit smashed. So a little bit more ways to go. We can announce this win. This was called out at 7 a.m. in the morning yesterday. A little bit more of a push to cover the spread. And we've got our win. Congratulations to those of you that took the trade. And there we go. Take profit smashed on Norwegian krone versus Swedish krone for 37 pips. Euro, the GPP. Okay, let me take a look at that. Hold on one second. That was win 657 for us. Versus up to 1,958,187 pips. Let's take a look at the euro versus the Japanese euro versus the Great British pound sterling. Oh yeah, there's quite a lot of support below current price. I wouldn't necessarily say it's going much of anywhere. It's only going 24 pips for the day. It is an uptrend though. The only thing that gives me pause is the distance between current price and the 50 exponential moving average. I think it's more likely we end up getting a sell-off of the euro versus the Great British pound when you have the opening of the New York Stock Exchange today. You're going to get retracing back into the Asian session. It's already retreating from that high, so this is not going to last. So at the very least, you're looking at a retracement to the top of this session here. Again, it's only up 22 pips. Do the measurement from here to the fair value gap. And you're looking at 23 points. So it's basically going to be a break even for the day eventually. So be careful on being bullish on that. Certainly, if you get a retest of this zone, you might be able to enter it for a buy. But just be careful. This is very far away from the 50 EMA. As you can see, it has a history of hitting that line over and over again. So this little mini retracement on Bitcoin, it caused most of the altcoins to go positive for the day, slightly. This looks like a classic liquidity pool to me. They're gathering up all these longs across all these different coins, and these computers are about to take people on down to a ride by the lake when they sell off. So you're in the market, do not fall for the FOMO. This is not a buy. There's nothing but resistance above current price on Bitcoin. It is not going up today. If you don't believe me, just go to the 4-hour and you see that massive block. It is a wrap for Bitcoin today. The only possible scenario is that it starts to whittle away with this fair value gap over here, which starts at 113,519, and we already have a low for the day at 113,519. Sorry, at 114,723. So what you can expect between now and the opening of the New York Stock Exchange, a retest at the bottom of this fair value, retracement somewhere into this period, and then a very steep drop off when the American markets open and they start reacting to the sell of that Bitcoin overnight. We have CRV versus Tether. Let's take a look. That is a take profit smashed. Aqua gray blue at the start of the trade. That's an uptrend with yellow over red. Straight to take profit. That's an easy win. Got about 20 seconds left to go to the half of the hour at 3:30. We'll see what we end up getting. Again, it's going to take about 2 minutes for TradingView to get through all 328 assets that we do trade on the 15-minute, the 30-minute, hour, the daily. It looks like we have a reconfirmation of a buy on Australian dollar and Japanese yen. We have the formation of a fair value gap at support for Bitcoin at current price. Take a look at this call. So this is on the 30-minute. We did have a call on the 15-minute. At the 30-minute, it's calling a buy all the way to 97.891. So here's another opportunity for you to enter the market. 30-minute confirmation on Australian dollar. $891. Specifically for you guys that are on the live, if you do want to take that, you'll find Australian dollar, Japanese yen on both liquid brokers and LHFX. Nice snack on Australian dollar to Japanese yen to 97.891. And we're now 3 minutes in. Next opportunity to enter the market is at 3:45, and then again at 4 a.m., which is where we normally end our lines for the night. Do have an original signal call on a 30-minute confirmation to 97.68 on Australian to dollar to Japanese yen. Looks like we will hit that. But price will reach 97.891 if you want to take that on short term, just for a quick snack for this evening. And just like that, I told you that rug pull was coming, and it's happening right now. For those that got reactionary and started buying cryptocurrencies, you're probably getting liquidated right now. You know what you're looking at. You can see this from a mile away. If you haven't already done so and you found value in the live, please follow the channel, drop a like on the video, and then turn on those notifications to keep abreast of when I do go live in the market. The Quiet Storm live trading sessions are held every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 2 a.m. Central Standard Time. That is the opening bell of the London Stock Exchange, and 1 hour after the opening of the German Stock Exchange. We do run about 2 hours every morning till about 4 a.m. Central Standard Time. That's just ahead of the opening of the New York Stock Exchange at 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. I do appreciate your support for rocking with me tonight. I am slowly working my way towards monetization on YouTube. It does require 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time. So certainly your support to the channel is very, very, very much appreciated. So we're going to stick to looking at the 30-minute on Bitcoin versus Tether as we continue to track this continued sell-off of Bitcoin, triggered by not one but two significant sell-offs of Bitcoin this week, an 80,000 Bitcoin sell-off of a wallet from a Bitcoin well that had not been active since 2011, which is an all-time record on Tuesday. And then another 17,123 Bitcoin earlier this evening, a little over an hour and a half ago, ahead of the opening of the New York Stock Exchange at 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. It's going to be a very brutal day for cryptocurrency, is what I'm anticipating. Yeah. A little under 6 minutes left to go to the quarter of the hour, 3:45 a.m. Central Standard Time. Four minutes left to go. Looks like we got another sell off. So, Galaxy Digital, which had previously sold 11,723 Bitcoin, just added another 2,850 Bitcoin to its sell, which leaves this transaction at 12,800 Bitcoin and counting over the last hour and a half. That is $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin sold in the last day. Yikes. Now, mind you, I believe we only have $350 million in inflows to Bitcoin ETFs versus the sale of, well, plus the one on Tuesday. That's 92,000 Bitcoin sold. That's a lot of cheese. All right, 15 seconds to 3:45. Let's see what we end up getting in terms of buy or sell opportunities in the market. Again, it's going to take about 2 to 3 minutes for TradingView to get through all the assets that we do trade on all of these different time frames. Here we go. We're about a minute into the quarter of the hour. Still no trade opportunities just yet. We'll give it another 2 minutes. Nothing's called during this 15-minute period. Our next and final period will be at 4 a.m. Central Standard Time. If we have no opportunities at that point, we'll go ahead and call it for the night. And our next live session is going to be on Monday, July the 28th at 2 a.m. So approaching about 3,300 points down. Bitcoin did get down 3,567 points earlier to a low of 114,723.16. It's probably going to break that before the opening of the New York Stock Exchange in about 3.5 hours and keep going. Again, all this movement is without U.S. market money. The U.S. markets are closed. So there's more liquidity to come for this sell-off. We'll be interested to see if any other whales do move to sell off Bitcoin. It is almost the end of July, which is typically the month when Bitcoin whales are the most active. And boy, have they been active this month, buying and selling. Again, prior to Tuesday, the all-time record for a movement of Bitcoin at once was just 3,700 Bitcoin. And we've broken that twice this week. Galaxy Digital tonight for 12,800 Bitcoin. And then another Bitcoin whale on Tuesday for 80,000 Bitcoin. It's about $9.5 billion in lost liquidity in Bitcoin in the last 48 hours, which is why price is selling off. All right, we're more than 2 minutes into the quarter of the hour. Actually, 3 minutes in. So we're not going to get anything else at 3:45. Next opportunity to enter the market will be at 4 a.m., which coincidentally is a confluence of 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, and 4 hour. So we may get calls on all 4 of those time frames at that point. being as how Bitcoin appears to have fallen into a little bit of consolidation. We've already gotten all that I think we're going to get out of Japanese yen. We may be done for the night. Again, I am the Pit Messiah, your host for the Quiet Storm live trading session for July the 25th, 2025. The Quiet Storm live trading sessions are held every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 2 a.m. Central Standard Time. If you haven't already done so, it is free to do this. Please subscribe to the channel. Drop me a like to up the engagement on the platform, and then hit the notification bell to keep abreast of when I do go live in the market. I already have the lives for next week already posted on the channel, so you go ahead and grab those notifications as well. Solid night tonight. Had three signals on Japanese yen with an invalidation on euro to Japanese yen. Buy signals on both the 15-minute and the 30-minute for Australian dollar, Japanese yen. Take profit smashed on Norwegian krone versus Swedish krone, which was called last night on the live. Had a hit stop off from the US dollar to Israeli shekel. And an original call, a buy on the 15-minute confirmation on Swiss franc to Japanese yen. We also, I believe, had a stop loss hit on the Australian 200, which is an indice. While we're waiting for 4 a.m., let's at least take a look at what we're looking like in terms of news for next week. And as you can see, a crap ton of major news dropping next week. Very quiet on Sunday and Monday, but starting Tuesday forward, major news item after major news item. It's going to be rocking, including on Wednesday, where we have the drop of the federal funds rate for the US dollar right after lunch on Wednesday afternoon. The market is going to be rocketing at that point. So it's going to be a very fast moving week. It is going to be non-farm payroll week in the United States. It's a lot of volatility. Be very careful on U.S. related pairs. But suffice it to say, we're going to make a lot of money next week. All right, about 8 minutes left to go to the top of the hour. 5 minutes left to go. Checking Australian dollar, Japanese yen. And you are up if you took either one of those trades on the 15-minute or the 30-minute. Congratulations to those of you that grabbed that particular trade. We're also way up on the Swiss franc to the Japanese yen, which was our first call of the night. It is almost a take profit that should hit before the opening of the New York Stock Exchange for 85 pips. Again, congratulations to those of you that took that trade. We're at about a minute and a half left to go. For those of you that are interested, if you do want to join my private trading group on Telegram, where I call trades 24/7 free of charge, you'll get access to all of the calls I call that are not on the 2-hour live. Here's the link to Project Genesis. If you're on a phone, if you click on that, you'll have to download Telegram, the app. You'll set up two-factor authentication using your phone number. If you're on a laptop, a desktop computer, or a tablet, you'll have to do a web-based two-factor authentication using your phone number. That'll get you direct access to the group where we have all kinds of news-related discussions and also all of the signals across 24/7 as we continue to profit for the year. A little less than 1 minute left to the top of the hour. We'll see whether or not we have any other opportunities to enter the market on a buy or sell basis. If we do not, after about 3 minutes, around 4:03, we'll go ahead and call it a wrap for the night. It's always been a pleasure to serve you guys. Again, if you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and turn on notifications to keep abreast of when I do go live in a market. The Quiet Storm. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 2 a.m. Central Standard. And just like that, we have a multitude of opportunities. We have the French 40. We're already in this on a buy, but if you'd like to take a buy, you look like you have a buy opportunity at 79.7650. That's the French 40, a buy to 79.7650. Looks like we have a call on the buy of Ethereum versus United States dollar. This is aqua gray blue. It's going to be a buy to 3848.38. So long from current price. You know what? Those EMAs are a little too close for me. And I'm thinking about the fact that Bitcoin is probably going to sell off later today. So, yeah, we're going to lay off of Ethereum versus US dollar. It probably will eventually hit this level, but it's more likely it's going to sell off when Bitcoin starts to tank about 3.5 hours from now. So that is all for us tonight. I'll see you guys bright and early at 2 a.m. on Monday, July the 28th. Cheers.